ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. So inshallah we will be continuing with our Arabic grammar lessons, our nahwa lessons. Before we discussed how nouns will appear in the respective cases of rafa, nasab and jar, and one of those appearances was ghayr munsarif. If you remember, we said when a word is ghayr munsarif, when it is halatul rafa, it will have a dhamma, a pesh, an u sound. When it is halatul nasab or halatul jar, it will have a fatha and it will never carry a tanween. And we will discuss this in more detail today, inshallah. So, from the beginning, we have ismu mu'rab. So, ismu mu'rab, declinable nouns. Nouns that can have harakat. Their harakat change because of an amil, a word government. So the first type is the one that is not ghayr munsarif. So you could just call it munsarif. So simply, it doesn't contain any of the nine. Sorry, it doesn't contain at least two of the conditions or causes of ghayr munsarif. It's also called mutamakkin. Before we said ism mu'rab can be called mutamakkin, but really it's anything other than ghayr munsarif, which is known as mutamakkin. More specifically, those words which can take the three harakat, which are fatha, dhamma and kasra, the zabar, zer, pesh, the a, u, e sounds. Ghayr munsarif, as we've just described, it has two of the causes, sababs, conditions of ghayr munsarif, or one that is equivalent to two. The hukam is that it doesn't carry a kasra or a tanween. So there are 9 causes of ghayr munsarif altogether. The first one is adl. It is a noun that has changed from its original format. It had an original format and that was changed. The second is wasf. This is a descriptive noun. The third is ta'neeth, a feminine noun. The fourth is ma'rifa, a definite noun. The fifth is ujma, the foreign noun. The sixth is jama', the plural noun. Then we have murakkab, which is a compound noun. Waznul fi'al, which is a noun or the pattern of a verb. And we have alif wa nun za'idatan, the noun which has an extraneous, like a non-essential alif and nun at the end. So we will now discuss these in a bit more detail. We have adl. So as we've said, it's a word that's transformed from its original pattern to another one, whilst maintaining its original meaning. It hasn't changed meanings. There are 2 types of this. The first one is tahqiqi, it's verifiable. So when a word has been changed verifiably. What that means essentially is we can find a word that we consider to be adl, an adl noun, and from its meaning we can find its equivalent. So in the example we have mathna, which means 2 by 2. Mathna is just one word, but we know it means 2 by 2. And we can find that the word ithnain means 2 by 2. So we can verify that the word mathna comes from ithnaini. On the other hand, you have taqdiri. These are assumed, estimated. We guess, we imagine that the words were originally something else, but we can't be sure. But because these words are ghayr munsarif, and they have one of the, we can identify maybe one of the 9 causes or conditions, like alamiya or wasf, and we can see that the word itself has probably changed from one pattern to another. We assume that it is adl. So, for example, the word Umar and Zufar, we can assume that they have transformed from Amir and Zafir. We can imagine this, but it's not something which we can verify with certainty. So adl can be combined with a wasf, or it can be combined with an alam. For example, Umar and Zufar, this is adl and it's an alam, a proper noun. And the example thulath was adl and it is a wasf. 3 by 3, it's a describing word, it's a descriptive word. And it will never combine with wazn al-fi'l. This is simply because there are specific patterns for wazn al-fi'l and there are specific patterns for adl, and these patterns are not the same. And here is a crude little insert of the patterns. I got this from Mufti Muawiyah, his Hashia, his commentary of Hidayat al-Nahwa. It's very good, has a lot of detail in there if you want to have a look. So the scales of adl are there, and the scales of wazn al-fi'l are there. The main thing to remember for us is that adl is a thing. So when we do read certain words in the Quran maybe, and we find that they don't have a tanween on them when they should, or they don't have a kasr on them when they should, but instead they have a fatha, then we know that it's most likely because they are ghayr munsarif. And then if we think they are adl, we can look deeper into it from there. Or if we have been assigned with doing ibara, like reciting a specific Arabic text which has no vowels, we could look at each word that follows harf al-jar, for example, genitive, something which causes a noun to become genitive, to have a kasra, and then we could look at the word and we could analyze it and to see if it is ghayr munsarif or munsarif. But for now, we will move on to the next condition. The next cause or condition for ghayr munsarif is al-wasf. So al-wasf is when a word in its original formulation is a descriptive word. For example, aswad and arqam. So you have examples of aswad and arqam. Aswad just is a description for the color black. Arqam is a description for a white feature. And they are causes for ghayr munsarif, even though they later they became names for snakes, for certain snakes, because they were originally used to describe colors. So they were descriptive words. They will be considered a cause for ghayr munsarif. On the other hand, you have words like arba. So for example in marartu bi niswatin arba'in, I passed by 4 women. Here in this scenario, arba, even though it's a describing word, it will be munsarif. This is because it was originally not a noun, for a descriptive word. It's a number. So just to clarify that example, the word arba, which means 4, although it can be used to describe, its original formulation is that it is to be used as a number, not as a describing word, so it will not be a cause for ghayr munsarif. And also, wasf never combines with alamiya. So if something is a descriptive word, it will never also be a proper noun in the same sense in a sentence. So they can't be combined together and say that the two causes for ghayr munsarif in this case is that it's wasf and alamiya. Next we have ta'neeth, femininity. So you have different forms of femininity. One form is when there is a small ta at the end of a proper noun. this will be ghayr munsarif. If the word is feminine by meaning, like the name Zainab, which doesn't have an indication like a small ta at the end, it will still be ghayr munsarif. And this is known as muannath ma'anwi because it is a feminine word because of its meaning. By meaning, it's the name of a girl or a woman. So if muannath ma'anwi though has 3 letters and the middle letter is unvoweled, it has a sakin, and it isn't an ajmi, a non-Arabic word, it's not a non-Arabic word, so it's an Arabic word, then you can read it munsarif despite having 2 causes for reading it ghayr munsarif. For example, the word Hind, it's an Arabic word and it is 3 letters. The middle letter Noon in Hind is unvoweled, it's sakin, it's the name of a woman, so it's muannath manwi. It can be read ghayr munsarif or you could read it munsarif. So if you're reading it in a text, then you can read it either way. If it's not 3 letters, if it is 3 letters and the middle letter is not unvoweled, it's voweled, like saqar, then it will be ghayr munsarif. Or if it's more than 3 letters, like Zainab. Sorry about that, happens sometimes. So we were talking about muannath ma'anwi and when it can be a cause for ghayr munsarif and when it's not. One thing to note is if there's a muannath word, a feminine word, and it has alif maksura, a shortened alif, or alif mamduda at the end, it will not be munsarif. It will be ghayr munsarif. The alif in this case acts like 2 causes. It's femininity and its entailment of being feminine. So it's like 2 times feminine. What we mean by entailment here is that the alif with these words like asa or hubla or hamra, these words where they have this alif at the end, they are always attached to them at the end. So it's like the ta'neeth of these words is repeated by the very strong attachment with ta'neeth. So because it seems like there's 2 times ta'neeth here, you'll consider this ta'neeth to be equivalent to 2 causes. The next cause is ma'rifa, so it's quite short. So a definite noun, when it's a proper noun, an alamiyah, so it has to be an alamiyah. The definite noun proper noun has to be alamiyah for it to be considered a cause even. So when we see a ma'rifa word and it's a proper noun, then it can be considered a cause for ghayr munsarif. If it's just a definite word and it is an alam, it's not a proper noun, then it's not a cause. And it does not combine with wasf. It can combine with anything else other than wasf. Description or descriptive words. That's because we've explained before how alam, proper nouns, and descriptive words do not combine. So we'll leave it at that for today, inshallah, and we'll continue with the remaining causes next time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.